The leaks for chapter 333 are wild since we see the matchup between the beast and monster Ren, but also France's Loki. After that, we also get another super interesting Hugo conversation, where he kind of breaks Isagi's whole spirit and just everything, and then the ending is just insane, but that's far from everything. But the rest I will keep a secret so as not to waste any time. Let's get right into it. Alright, so the chapter starts off with the text saying, "At last they collide. The Battle of the Ten from Japan and France. Don't miss this single moment." With that, just like the text says, we see Ren running with the ball right into Loki, who just has a huge grin on his face as he looks at the incoming Ren. Ren gets closer, and when he is right in front of Loki, it really looks like he pulls the move that Sei did on Ren in the U20 match, but it's kind of hard to see, so I can't say for certain. The fact is that Ren, who has an insane aura around himself, does get behind Loki. But you already know that it's sadly not where it ends, since Loki right in an instant looks back with pure lighting in his eyes, and then he puts on the gas as he runs right by Ren, which is kinda insane, but it's just Loki once again showing off his insane and mind-blowing speed. And still at this point, he just has a huge smile on himself, really looking like he is treating this not seriously at all, and is still just playing with them, anyway. Ren notices him, and this does unfortunately force him to hold up, and they then go into another standoff. Or that's what I would usually say, if Ren wasn't just built different, since he somehow spots a really small opening behind Loki, and he then starts to get into shooting position. Loki sees this, and knows that it's dangerous, since his smile fades away, and he starts to look serious instead, and he tries his best to put his hands on Ren, to try and get him away, and put of his center of gravity. But even with all of that, Ren still gets away the shot, but sadly, just as he got it away. We spot Hugo being right there, and he shields the shot from going closer with the heel of his foot, which, now I'm not going to lie, looked super cold. And the way Hugo then looked at Ren with a stone-cold expression, it was really dope. Ren is super annoyed by this, and even lets out a sigh as he sees the ball bouncing of Hugo's foot and then going out of the pitch. We then get to the commentators who are all ecstatic, and we then get the first dialogue of this entire chapter as they say that this was so close, but that Hugo's super block prevents the goal, and the crowd looks to be in total shambles. Meanwhile, Isagi also looks super serious as he is watching this, and he then takes a deep breath. He then spots Hugo on the ground from his save, and says that there is no way, wondering if even this was predicted, thinking that Loki restricts the course of the shot, and then Hugo comes in and stops it in the last second, wondering if even their thought processes have been entirely grasped through logic. After that, he thinks about all of the France players, and he concludes that their right talent is in exactly the right place, and on top of that, they pump out a 100% performance. He starts to look serious and almost lost as he says that they are the ultimate adaptability group, and he goes even deeper as he starts to wonder if they can even win against France. However, when Isagi is in his deepest thoughts, Hugo gets up on his feet and starts to speak to Isagi. He tells Isagi that they are strong. He then takes his hand through his hair like a true anime villain and says that into the diligent and clever collective conscious culture of Japanese soccer. If you mix in the individualistic philosophy of everyone aiming to be the world's #1 striker, a hybrid team is born that takes the best of both the collective and the individual. Hugo, who is far from stopping, just continues as he says that their coach is an excellent person who made that experiment a success. However, that only works up to this point, telling them that it's 66% talent and 33% environment. And lastly, you can't forget about the 1% of luck. He tells Isagi that these are the ratios of the elements that decide a match. At least that's what he himself believes in, saying that in Blue Lock's case, it's a team that's been barely winning by Isagi pulling in that 1% of luck, which is also why Isagi is the GOAT. But anyway, I'll stop with the Isagi glazing for now, as Hugo tells him straight up that they won't let that luck situation even happen, explaining that it is the greatest sure win method against Blue Lock. Hey, it's Natsu mid-editing here, and I just wanted to pause the video to ask you to subscribe if you haven't already, and while you're already down there, why not leave a like as well? Isagi starts to look super mad as he looks at Hugo with a dead expression, as he tells him to just try it, calling him a big talking jerk. Hugo then tells him that his quick irritation and snapping back at him is proof that he was in the right spot, and this is insane, as it sounds like Hugo just purposefully rage-baited Isagi into admitting that he was right. And honestly, I kinda like Hugo just more and more. Isagi is just silent after that as he realizes that legit everything that he says can be used against him. So he just looks at Hugo, who takes up his finger and tells Isagi that also his team has a serious Isagi dependency, which high-key sounds like he is just calling all of the other players trash. But we'll continue to hear him out as he explains that the Japanese team right now is growing on the assumption of Isagi's endless new ideas and creativity. which means paradoxically, he is not allowed to stop thinking or evolving. If he stopped growing, then the team will collapse. That pressure is what's creating Isagi's impatience, and that kind of play is easy to predict and most importantly easy to shut down. Talking about mainly the last play where Hugo stole the ball from Isagi thanks to his impatience. Hugo looks at him dead in his face and tells him that actually, at the point where he is feeling pressure in this situation, he is not fit to be number one. Hearing this makes Isagi look visibly worried, but also crushed, as he honestly already looks absolutely defeated as Hugo told him that. But Hugo doesn't stop with his talk, as he says that because if he were number one, then he should be able to gleefully enjoy this now, where he is at the center of the world, asking if that isn't right. And while he says that, we cut to flashbacks before this match where Isagi said that he was feeling the pressure and pain of being the number one and having everyone count on him. After that, Hugo decides to actually glaze a bit, but not Isagi, but instead Loki, as he points to him and says that in that regard, Loki is a dead-on match, explaining that he is born with the world's best physical specs and that he doesn't doubt for a second that he will become the world's best striker, telling Isagi that his mind and body are perfectly in sync with his aptitude and that he is a true natural-born number one, and Hugo is going to produce that and also see a spectacular view that he couldn't reach alone, telling Isagi that he straight up wants to become the world's best number two, which sounds a bit weird to say, but it does make sense. Isagi, however, also thinks that it sounds a bit weird, as he is in shock and is confused about what Hugo is talking about. However, Hugo holds up two fingers and tells him that he doesn't seem to understand. He says that he doesn't mean the second place, but that he means controlling the organization with a bird's eye view from the second highest spot, explaining that he is the number one's greatest understander and their equal. After that, this is insane, as Hugo starts to look super cold and almost possessed as his aura is going through the roof as he is burning with it. And he then tells Isagi to come over to the number 2 spot, telling him that if he lives out his destiny as a number 2, then Blue Lock can still become stronger, and Isagi, as he hears that, looks like his whole world is starting to freeze. We then see Ego, who is sitting on the bench, and Isagi tells him that if he continues to aim for the world's number 1 striker, then Blue Lock will be destroyed right here, and with that, the game is also back on. But that is wild. Anyway, the ending text says, Declaration of Destruction to Blue Lock Japan. How will they oppose the Aptitude Fatalist? And I can also announce the great news that there is no break next week, so the peak will continue. Also, the next chapter will be called Time of Awakening, which is a bit hard to pinpoint since, well, Isagi would need to be the one to be awakening at this point. However, it could also mean that Rin might need to awaken a bit now, since Isagi is looking a bit lost at the moment, or it might be something more about France, since they are with the ball again, and are most likely going to head for the goal again. Anyway, I feel like this was one of the most interesting chapter we have gotten in a long while, and even though I feel like Hugo can look a bit generic sometimes and look just emo, I feel like always when he is on the screen he brings up so much that makes you really think, and he does it again flawlessly, putting the idea into Isagi's head that he needs to become a player who gives up on being the number 1 in order for Blue Lock to be able to evolve and go further with him. Now, does Hugo have any merit to what he is saying? And of course he does. Everything that Hugo said in this chapter is pretty much on point. From what we have seen of Isagi and him being nervous of being at the top, he isn't someone who is, I wouldn't say cut out to be number 1, but I would say that he isn't the ideal person to have that spot, as just as Hugo said, someone who is cut out for that wouldn't even have the slightest worry about them not making it, since they are sure set on it. Now, Isagi is of course set on him becoming the number 1, but he has also been nervous about what will happen if he slips up or something similar. So what will happen next? Will Isagi change to going for the number 2 spot just like Hugo told him to, and give up on his dream for the chance of Blue Lock evolving? I personally feel like if he does that, then the story in itself loses a lot of its values. I would be extremely mad and disappointed if Isagi goes for that route, and he decides that it is the best thing for him to do, and to give up on everything. Blue Lock has a total different value from Aowashi, where Ashito went to a defender, and if Blue Lock went that route, then personally I would be super sad. However, let me know what you guys think will happen, and also most importantly, what you guys thought about the leaks. Anyway, if you like Blue Lock and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel, and while you are at it, leave a comment and a like, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you're curious to see another video of mine, then please watch the video that will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching, and have a great day.